Yeah, no, he was talking about the Kobe's, then the autos, then he got into talking about the Panini LeBron, like the nice patch pieces from 2013 or 2013 Flawless, I think he mentioned, which is pretty awesome because he's thinking ahead. He's thinking, okay, LeBron's going to retire. He's got maybe 2 years left. Then he's going to retire. And all of a sudden, his autograph and his card rights are with Upper Deck at that point, I believe, no longer with Panini. So that'll be the end of his in-uniform cards. Pretty interesting. Yeah, Brian Gray always has pretty good insights, and he's got his finger on the pulse of the hobby for sure. Okay, well, we are live. Joe, we are live. What a great episode that was with Brian Gray just earlier tonight. Welcome, everybody, back to Sports Cards Live. Oh, I forgot to put on the After Hours banner so we know where we are. There we go, Joe. There we go. That was a lot of fun with him. We've got a few comments in the crowd already. Brandon George, what's your Instagram, Sports Cards Live? Thank you for asking, Brandon George. I'll throw up all my socials right there. That's where you can follow me, guys, on Instagram, Twitter. And if you're not yet a member of the Sports Cards Live Facebook group, guys, I encourage you, if you have a Facebook account and you use it, feel free to join the group. It's simply called Sports Cards Live. And you will need to be admitted in unless you have a couple of friends in the group already. But if you need to, it'll ask you for a reference. You can just say the Sports Cards Live or put down Jeremy, whatever it is, and I'll automatically welcome you into the Sports Cards Live Facebook group. It's a good place to be with the odd cool discussion happens, but it's where all of the shows are announced as well, usually either the day before or earlier on during the day of the show. So check those out. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that was it. Just JLee _ Sports Cards Live. I see. That's Hockey Guy answering for me. Thank you very much. Big Unit says, can Jeremy make Joe swear again tonight, like on Carlos's live stream last Sunday? I mean, that Big Unit, it's not my goal. I'm not going to set out to make Joe swear. And I try not, I tell all my guests when I plan with them, I say, listen, I don't swear on the show. I think I've sworn like twice. And it's just kind of my thing. I just, but I say, people said, what are you going to do if you get Gary V? Because Gary B, he's dropping F-bombs every third word. I said, if Gary V wants to come on the show, I'm going to let him swear as much as he wants. That'll be the one guy that I'm not going to stand in his way and tell him not to be him. So not that I tell anyone not to be themselves, but Joe, what was causing you to swear last Sunday on Carlos's stream?
Gosh, that you got me there. Carlos is quite a provocateur, so it could have been a lot of things.
I hear that for sure. I hear that. Rocco is taking the After Hours live dive. Yeah, BG was great. Thanks, Rocco. Great to have you back for After Hours. And if you're new, AZ Brothers, welcome. If any of you guys are new to After Hours, it's basically the reason this show started was because we were going 2 hours on the main Sports Cards Live show, and with a bunch of viewers were basically like, hey, don't stop now. Go for hour three. And I thought, well, 3 hour lives. I mean, I'm no because I'm Carlos, right? I can't really support the 5, 6, 7 hour stream. So I wanted to keep it to about 2 and just start a new one and bring on someone. And again, it's less of a real interview, more of a conversation. At least that's my intention. And so we'll see how it goes. It's different every time, but welcome to anybody who's new. Thanks to my man, Joe Poirot, for joining me for the third or fourth time on here, probably, Joe, right?
Yeah, we've had some history, and gosh, the hobby is just moving so quickly. It's like, where do we begin to keep up with all of this? It's hard to keep up.
So we talked a bit about dibs on the last show. Again, kind of a real-time fractional ownership, where you can buy in for as little as $1, I believe, into any of their offerings. Does that interest you?
Yeah, I mean, I might need to learn more about it, but I'm trying to stay in my own lane at this point. I mean, there's so much going on, and I want to stay focused on, the area of collecting that I feel like I at least have a little bit of knowledge. And if somewhere along the way there's like, oh, okay, jump over to this lane or check this out, maybe, but not so much. Yeah, I've heard a few things about it. It sounds intriguing. It sounds like a lot of people out there are thinking about creative approaches to, where we are in the whole collectible industry. So,
yeah, I think you're right. That said it really well. It's kind of the next evolution of the fractional, bringing it more to the people, making it quicker. I don't know if it's going to be SEC regulated like I want to say the bigger, but the other fractionals are, or at least I know Collectible is and Rally is. And actually the president or the founder of Otis, they reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. Otis is another, if you're not aware, Joe, and anyone out there, if you're not aware, Otis is another fractional company in the space. And they reached out to me to get on the show. So they're coming on, I think it's April 27th. I booked their president, Michael, for president, founder, CEO. I'm not sure of his title yet, but they're coming on later. So we'll learn more about fractionals at that point in time. In the break in between the shows, Joe, I was looking at my phone and I saw the Golden Auctions. The website went down tonight during the close. Did you hear it? Yeah.
I did not. I was sort of tracking that a little earlier in the day, at least what we could. And I think you mentioned the Kobe card somewhere along the way in the last show, but it just went down, huh?
I guess it went down. I think it's back up now, but it did go down for a while. So some people were talking about that. Apparently the Kevin Durant, I think it was a Kevin Durant. I saw some, I'm going to sound like, I think it was a Kevin Durant went for like over $500,000 tonight on there. So they're back up. I guess they've gotten their ducks back in a row and they're working through their whatever technical issues they were having. But yeah, that was interesting to hear that they went down. They've gone down before. So hopefully with this new investment, they'll get their tech up to snuff and we won't see that happening anymore. And I got to think they will. Hopefully they do. Jeff McMahon says, great show with Brian. Thank you, Jeff. Looking forward to After Hours. Great to have you. After Hours time. Eric, good evening. Good evening. Brandon George, wondering what these topics will be like. Well, it's what you want to make of it, Brandon. You know, this is kind of a open-ended sort of show, After Hours. We're kind of chilling. I don't have any notes. You know, I got a page full of notes for the main show. This one, I try and keep it more relaxing, and I'm trying to, maybe talk a little bit less or a little bit loud, whatever it is. But we'll make our way through. Carlos, welcome, says noble goals, but it has to be of the moment. Joe looks like he's on his best behavior. It was the Goudy Ruth. Chris is telling us the Goudy Ruth is that's what made Joe swear. Okay, got it. Brian Kingsley made his live stream debut last Sunday on Because I'm Carlos. That was really cool. Brian's a guy that's been kind of in the chats for months and months now on the various live streams that I watch, including this one. And it was nice to meet you, Brian, face to face, if not remotely. That was pretty cool. Vic, there's my man, Sean, Victory Investments. So there you go. I hope Sean is the guy that I showed the 2 wraps of. As I've said, really enjoy them. I mean, I've watched each of those probably 15, 20 times now. They're both really catchy. And I encouraged him earlier today in a private chat. I said, dude, you got to keep these things coming because you're about to blow up on social media with those, the way you're what do we say? Throwing down rhymes, I think it is. I'm no rapper myself, but, and this guy's a collector. It's really cool. Really cool. I'm glad you're here, Sean. Thank you for joining. Anonymous Facebook user, guys. I don't know why we still have anonymous Facebook users. So I'm going to throw this up right now on the ticker. So right there, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. And sometimes it'll happen if you usually watch on your computer. Now you're on your phone, that kind of thing. So please go and hit that so we know who we are dealing with. It makes this show so much more fun when I know who you are and can talk to you. Just the way to go, if I might say so. And that's not good news. The Oilers took down, and I don't think there's much time left in that game, but okay, Flames, let's get one back. Yes, of course, McDavid. I'd rather be him than anybody else because it's good for the hobby. Good for the hobby, right? Colin Murray, who is an After Hours alumni, tuning in. Welcome back, Colin. And oh boy, we got lots of comments. You guys are pouring in here. Awesome. Yannick lets us know. Golden final auction numbers, 1996 Kobe, 1.46 million. 52 tops Mickey Mantle, PSA 8, 1.9 million. Roberto Clemente, PSA 9, $900,000. Yannick, unofficial. Hey, Yannick, I appreciate that. And, if you don't mind, give us some more results. Be happy to throw them on the screen and Let's see what's going on. Here we have a topic from Evan Thomas. Let's talk die cuts. I love them ever since you showed your Noise Boys cards. What are some of your favorites over the years? Thanks for hosting. You're welcome. Joe, do you have any favorite die cuts over the years?
I mean, you got to think back to all those Jordan inserts and go through, the various ones, the skybox ones, the Fleers. But I mean, currently I've been looking at select die cuts just for modern basketball. Little Booker, little Giannis, little Embiid, just nothing too crazy. No, I'm not a huge die cut guy, but I appreciate them here and there.
And it's something that back in the day, Joe, I didn't like them because I thought, hey, wait, I want the whole card. I'm only getting 80% of a card now. Like, well, what's that all? Where's the rest of it, right? Yeah. But my tastes have evolved extremely to the point where my favorite cards are, and I collect a couple. I collect some Jordan, I collect some Shaq, and I love the Hot Shots. I love it. I love the Noise Boys, and I love the Big Men on Court. Those are my three favorites. To me, those are just stunning cards, and I'm okay with having 70 to 90% of the card to fill the frame within the slab or the holder.
I like them in slabs, and yet hopefully they don't tilt. I've had a few that have just been like permanently tilted in the slab, and it's like, oh, come on. But if you get a nice symmetrical fit in the slab, they can be pretty cool, and that kind of makes up for the feeling of like, do I have a whole card? It's like, you got the slabbed card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the slab kind of lets you know that, hey, all of the card that's supposed to be there is there, right? Yeah. But Evan Thomas, let's hear from you. What are some of your favorite die cuts? I'm sure that now, you saw the Noise Boys, which is awesome. I got to think, Evan, you've been out there looking and researching and finding some others. So let us know what's caught your eye. Because, believe it or not, that will likely get me searching later. I shouldn't say believe it or not. It's the way the hobby works, right? We learn things from other people. We go looking, and then we're like, hey, that's cool. There's a Ken Griffey Jr. die cut that caught my eye. I don't remember what it's called, but it's got like these mechanics in it. I'm sure hopefully Carlos or Chris knows and can let us know, but I don't remember what it's called. And I've been watching some on eBay. It's a horizontal card, and it's got like some gears on it, like mechanical gears. It looks pretty cool. I'd like to remember what that is. Chris Carter, my first After Hours with Joe. He's been great, so I'm looking forward to it. Awesome, Chris. Awesome. Hockey guy. Forgot to tell us where Joe is from. Seems to be a thing now. Joe, I mention where he's from when he's in the chat all the time. Joe is my man from Santa Cruz, California, and I'm a big fan of Santa Cruz, so perfect.
Good to see hockey guy.
There we go. AZ, when After Hours is only 10:30 West Coast, Best Coast. Yeah, that's right. It's 10:38 where I am, so we'll go for about an hour or so, I got to think, tonight. Yeah, there you go, Ryan. McDavid's. Is it still 3-2, or is it that they scored an empty netter yet? Hope not. Great rhymes. There we go. Yeah, Victory Investments throws down the rhymes. I got to say, whoa, you guys are throwing the comments in here tonight, which I do appreciate. Let's see. Yeah, they were sweet. Happy Saturday Night Live. Happy Sports Cards Live. Saturday Night Sports Cards Live. All right. You are welcome, Sean, if you're still here. Brian Kingsley, Tar and Feather the Anonymous. Yeah, exactly. Okay. PSA 9 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky went for $151,000. Could have bought nines all day long for $5,000, 5 years ago. Not anymore. Topps 9 for 66. Nice to see. PSA 795. So those last two are pretty much right in line with where we've seen. I think the tops might be high, up by about 10,000. The PSA 7, that's been where it's been. But the O-Pee-Chee PSA 9 for 151, I do think I saw one sell for over 200 recently, but I don't know the validity of that. So 151 seems more sort of a more natural progression from where it was before, for sure. Tower 72, welcome to the show. Great to have you. What's Chris saying? JL, in my experience, where's the rest of that question? Oh, here we go. Why are the Winnipeg Jets so lowly collected versus other NHL teams, even players like Wheeler, Scheifele, etc.? Small market, but just bombers for comp. Yeah, I think it's small market is the only real reason that I can think of. So I don't know any more about that, Chris. And, I'm from Winnipeg originally, so I do like those players. But I'm not, I've got a bunch of Scheifele's, but I'm not collecting them anymore. I'm not really adding, maybe one card a year type of thing. That's about it for me. Behind the Tanks lets us know that his PSA submission from June just hit the QA2 stage. Well, congrats. That's progress. That is, oh, there we go. Look, of course, Billy's coming in on Facebook and doesn't tell us who it is. Billy.
Billy.
And there, look, I thought I was on YouTube. Bro, what state are you in? Do you even know what state you're in? Great to have you, Billy. Billy is a product manager at Upper Deck. Okay. Oh, yeah. There we go. 36 O-Pee-Chee Hockey, the original die cut. Yeah, but you had to die cut it yourself. Those are the cards that had it was already cut, but you had to pull the panel and like rip it off. They made them in baseball too, I think, in the same year. Congrats to the oil, beating my flint. Hot gloves. I love the hot gloves too, Brian, which to me is very much like the hot shots, but the baseball version. I have a Ken Griffey Jr. hot gloves. Really cool card. Die cuts always meant you got an SP. I remember some of the die cuts in the 94 SP hockey. It was actually, I think it was 94 SP hockey or 93 hockey. Anyway, there was an insert that was called the SP Premier, and then there was a die cut parallel of it, which were pretty cool. Pinnacle, big numbers are sweet as far as die cuts go. Very cool. Chris Carter, I got some Noise Boys NHL getting graded right now at MNT. Very cool. Good luck on your grades with those. Gold medallion die cuts. Yep, very cool. LeBron James, Topps Rookie 201 should sell. It is likely pristine. Not sure what that's in reference to, but sounds good. Sounds good. Joe, anything on your mind at the moment? I mean, we kind of talked, guys, before we went live. We said, hey, that was an action-packed episode with Brian Gray. We covered tons of topics there. And I said to Joe, did anything really stick out in your mind as something that was interesting? And you, Joe, you said, well, I think the thing that caught your mind the most was when Brian said, you've got to kind of finding your why, finding your purpose in the hobby. Did that resonated with you? Can you expand on that, kind of how or why it did?
Yeah, I think he was talking about, your thesis and focus. So, and that's been a challenge for me. I'm somewhat whimsical. I'll move in all sorts of directions at any given moment. I have my my fallbacks, but I do think you can cover. You can go deeper when you focus, obviously, and you can kind of mine down to locate maybe acquisitions to your collection that are maybe really going to stand the test of time and have you feeling satisfied that you directed your energy in that way. And that's kind of what I got out of what he was saying, is that if you're just kind of going this way, going that way, fickle, and there's so much advice right now that it is easy to kind of get thrown off with FOMO or new opportunities, and all of that's important, but you eventually kind of have to trust yourself, right? And kind of investigate your own collecting sensibilities and what's important to you. That's kind of what I got from Brian's advice there. And I think it's incredibly wise and not always easy to do, because, we can get, what's glittery, what's exciting, what's new. And it doesn't mean you can't let your collecting evolve either. I mean, it's good that it evolves. And, at the same time, you don't want to go so far off where it's kind of like, what did I do? Like 6 months later, what did I do here?
kind of like my 6 month later reaction after I kind of jumped into the Pokemon market, bought about 13 cards over a few weeks. And I was like, whoa, why? Because then I went and watched the show and I'm like, it resonates with me in the negative. Like there's actually nothing about it that I really enjoy. But that said, I still think there's nothing wrong with throwing a dart at an investment once in a while in the hobby that is maybe outside your comfort, your passion zone, your nostalgia zone. So I have these things. Sure, I'd like to sell them and just get rid of them so I don't have to worry about them. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm kind of in the money. You never know what the future holds. So for the investment, maybe I'll just sit on them for a while and let them kind of marinate there and see what happens in the long run. And hopefully I don't lose money. And maybe, but what Brian said, that he said, trust your gut, trust your instinct on some of these kind of outside of the ordinary lanes that you can go down. And because he said his exact words were, because when you're right, and right now when you're right, that could mean some big gains financially or value wise. And then, you can take those, trade them towards something you really love, or you love those and maybe buy a bunch of them and you keep one for a memento and sell the rest and move them into something else. So all sorts of different things you can do there. I like this comment from Eric Joe. He says, sell the other 20% of the card, the 20% that's missing from the die cut, right? Darcy, my man, Darcy from BC in the house. Darce, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And then here it is, Ed Seat, the Griffey, the metal hit machines. I think that is the one I was talking about, Ed. So thank you for throwing that up there. Appreciate that. We got the Hobby Cop watching on your lunch break. So where does that put you, Hobby? Does that put you in Australia, or where does that put you? Because that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Jordan Riker says, do you guys have any rainbows? Are you chasing any rainbows? Joe?
I mean, I guess I've got a few Curry, nothing deliberate. Probably Steph Curry would be the closest thing I have to a little representation of color, but not even in one particular issue, which I guess is that sort of what rainbows are about. It's like you're
parallel, all the parallels of a certain card. Yeah.
I kind of mix it up. I like diversifying and I do like color and shiny color. And I think that's a little bit of what we're seeing in the market with the kind of base card deflation and maybe people turning their directions into numbered parallels. But yeah, I can't say that I am the kind of collector that needs multiples of the same issue.
Yeah, same here. I've never been a rainbow chaser. I'm usually happy with one, maybe two of the card. I do have by accident, I have a couple, like the 2012 Fleer Retro Precious Metal Gems, Timu Solani. He's got a red, a green, and a blue. I have all three of them. Ooh. But it's because I collect Timu. He's my all-time favorite player. But, it's not like I went looking for the rainbow. That had nothing to do with it. To me, rainbows it's not something I ever need. I prefer to have the rarest of the rainbow. That's kind of where I really want to see cards. But so nothing really, Jordan, but thank you for the question. Yes, Brian, Hit Machines was the card I was thinking about for sure. Robert Rothenberg says Soul of the Game inserts are interesting. I have a neat story about Soul of the Game. I agree. They're pretty cool. I like the colors in the words in the background, but that card was originally meant to be a die cut card. And if you notice, it's not die cut. It's all there. The perfect rectangle is there, but it was meant to be a die cut. And we know this because Gene and Earl Arena of Arena Designs made it known publicly that that card, along with also there's another one that was the Rave Review, I think it was also supposed to be a die cut, but I guess they ran out of time or whatever it was back in the 90s, and they didn't end up die cutting them. So pretty cool. Yes.
Is the Golden Touch die cut the one you got? Yes. The Shack?
The Shack is that's going to go nicely with the other three die cuts. I kind of, they're just awesome cards. Awesome cards. Kevin Jones, nice chatting with you on Clubhouse the other day. Kevin, same here. Really enjoyed it, Kevin. You had some awesome things to say. So great to see you. Thank you for joining us here tonight. And later tonight, I'll probably be lurking in on Clubhouse again as I'm falling asleep. Don't know that I'll get up to the stage to talk because my wife will be sleeping next to me. But thank you, Kevin. Thank you for joining us tonight. Another confirmation that it's a Fleer Ultra Hitting Machine. Yeah, that's a card I want to pick up, but they're not cheap. But they're awesome. They're awesome looking die cuts.
Were you kind of a Griffey fan back in the 90s? I mean, proximity to Seattle, or what was going on there?
No, nothing to do with Seattle. It was because, my baseball team is the Blue Jays, but I'm a fair weather fan. I'm only really interested when they're doing well. When they're not doing well, I don't follow them. I couldn't even tell you who's on the team right now. That's how much of a bandwagoner I am when it comes to baseball right now. But in the early 90s, I was all over the Blue Jays, and I was watching baseball very closely, and I was loving it. Guys, all the rookies from the 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s, that's my era. Like I bought my George Brett and Robin Yount rookies. I walked into a card show with my parents. I think I was 16 years old in LA. We were there on a family trip. So that puts us in the late 80s. And I bought those 2 rookie cards back then. I think they were the first 2 rookies I bought. And I bought them as a pair. I don't remember what they were, $80 each, something like that. Well before grading on the internet. So, but for the Griffey specifically, I mean, he came out guns a-blazing. He was the number 1 card, and I mean, 89 Upper Deck was who wasn't chasing that card back then. So it stemmed from there, Joe. And yeah, to the 5-tool player, never got involved in the steroid era, all that, or the steroid scandal back in the day. So just a clean guy, just a clean cut guy, and a easy guy to collect.
And an iconic card. I mean, the 89 Upper Deck, I finally pulled it. I just was like, okay. And I got the infamous, BGS 8 white label. I got a pretty good deal, and it's a very nice BGS 8, and still relatively cheap compared to what the 10s are going for, right? And I'm happy I got it, because now I'm holding it, I'm looking at it, and it's bringing back memories, because that, as we recall, I mean, in the early 90s or 89, that was all of what the hobby was about.
And that's a smart comment, because it's what's causing a lot of the hobby right now again, right? I mean, of course, we got people that are just looking to capitalize, but it's still really truly driven by the nostalgia. So I'm with you, man. I'm the one chunk of time in history that I didn't step away from the hobby, but I stepped back from it, was like 95 till around 99. And so I missed that the insert era. And now I find myself enamored by it. Love it. I love I love learning about the cards, finding new cards. I'm always discovering new cards from that little window of time in the late 90s. And it's also because I appreciate them so much, you kind of need to, I felt I needed to pick a player to go with. So I went with Ken Griffey Jr. because it was an easy choice for me. Whereas in basketball, I went with MJ because it's obvious. And when I spend money, I want to consider the investment aspect of the cards. But I went with Shaq because he was my favorite back in the day. He still is. I love that guy. So, that's kind of why I went with Ken Griffey as my access to 90s insert baseball cards.
Totally. And you've shared that your collecting strategy, which I think is a great one, is really dialing in on Hall of Fame players and looking at, what's the best card I can procure of them. And then you have a lot represented, but then you can dive in a little deeper with particular players, be it, Griffey or Shaq or, Connor McDavid or whomever, Gretzky.
Yeah. And if I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take my hard-earned money and I'm going to put it into cardboard, basically taking money, away from my family temporarily, I want to be able to, at the right time whether I need to, help my kids with college or help them with a down payment on a house or leave them when I go, I just want my cardboard to be convertible to cash and not be of some obscure player that no one's going to buy from me at that time. Now, if you're not spending, nothing against collecting obscure players, because you're probably not, if they're obscure, you're not having to spend much money on them. So the hobby aspect really shines through there, as it should. But when I'm going back in time, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And your episode, was it just last week? Cause, the pro set box that you ripped, last weekend, and,
some packs left right here.
Oh my goodness. So I kind of did a little quick reconnaissance there and kind of found a few of my own, a few graded ones. So this is a Tom Petty Pro Set graded 9. Talking about just as soon as I said, I'm staying in my lane, I'm revealing that I'm not actually staying in my lane entirely. And then another one here, I think we might know who this woman is, Madonna. Kind of let me make sure everybody can see it.
Is that an 8.5? Yeah, PSA 8.5.
8.5 Madonna. And you were saying that there's a lot of chipped edges on it. So
here's like, I opened a bunch of packs of it last week, and here they are, and I've been looking at the cards. PSA 10 is basically impossible for any card I pulled out of the pack. I mean, they're obviously 30 years old, but right out of the packs, there's like chips on the corners. There's sometimes dents in the cards themselves. So high grades of these music cards aren't easy to find, but those are so cool, and they look good in the slabs.
Well, and last but not least, for all the Led Zeppelin fans out there, this is
Jimmy Page.
I'm not sure if you can see him, but it's a little bit of a dark card. But these present so nicely, especially in the slab, and that PSA grades them makes me feel like they're a little more legit. So there could be some opportunity there in music.
Well, Brian Gray, he was just talking on the last episode. He said something like, people are going to wrestling, they're going to Marvel. We kind of went down that line of conversation, but he didn't say anything about, 91 Pro Set music cards or Yo MTV Raps. And again, it's Pro Set, so it's going to be tough to get big value out of these in the future, but you never know. 91 Marvel cards or whatever, 90 or 91 Marvel cards are doing stupid things right now. And by stupid, I mean big money. I'm not questioning anyone's intelligence there who might have do that, but I'm definitely saying big money for, junk wax era cards. Literally, this is the definition. You look up junk wax in the dictionary, this is the kind of thing you're seeing, it just feels so cheap, and the paper, the card itself it's just it's a cheap card stock for sure, but they're cool. And if you have them in high grade, I can tell you from experience now, breaking 3/4 of a box, it's tough to find them in good shape. So cool. All right. I want to welcome Name to the show. Indigenous Rookie Cards. Welcome. Was watching UFC. Great to have you, Name, as always. I think Daniel made the same comment last time you were on. Wow, Justin Trudeau as a guest, because you do kind of look like our prime minister up here. Very much, very much. What does Evan say? I brought up the die cuts because I bought a Shaq Noise Boys on eBay, but it's uncut. Actually, a little worried I bought a fake or uncut. Yeah, so I don't think you bought a fake, Evan. I think you bought one that just didn't get under the knife.
The test. They have a test one, right? Or go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no. Please continue. Actually,
I was in the market for some Noise Boys myself, and I ended up getting a Penny Hardaway. And it looked as though there are full cards that were, I guess, test prints that never actually got die cut. So I would maybe it's possible, Evan, that it's not a fake, but just one of those test runs, which I don't know. It probably isn't at the same value as the original, but it's a legitimate and factory produced card. So.
Factory produced card being key there, and I agree with that. I don't think it's a fake. I think it might have been a part of the Fleer bankruptcy sale. It could have come out there, if that even makes sense. But I've seen them before, and for me, I wouldn't want it. No offense, Evan, but I want the die. I want it as it was meant to be. So if you do too, I'd say just throw it back up, sell it, and find the real thing. Or if you want, or look for the other one and keep it. But leave that totally up to you. Of course. AZ Brothers, is ProSet licensed unlike Leaf? ProSet is not licensed. They have no licenses, just like Leaf doesn't. It really is now. If Leaf had a license, they would most likely be able to apply it to the ProSet trademark or throw the ProSet trademark onto a product because they would likely have licenses for all their brands, all their IPs, I would think. Okay, what else we got here, guys? Sorry, we're behind in the comments. I know it's awkward, but it's just the way it rolls. Just the way we roll on here.
Saturday night.
It's Saturday night. Brent Criswell says, hey to Jeremy and Joe. Hello, Brent. Hello again, Brent. Hockey guy, still waiting for a company to do an actual rainbow. Yeah, the Roy G. Biv rainbow of colors, right? That's what you're talking about. We need indigo in our packs nowadays. What did Darcy say? Just pulled the 2021 Hoops Blue Reactive LeBron, Steph Curry, and James Wiseman. Nice, Darcy. Very nice. Very nice. Peter Chow. Jeremy, you talked before about the Solani shooting his glove picture. The original art for the Upper Deck Masterpieces canvas is up on eBay. Really? That's really cool. Thank you, Peter. I'll have to look for that. Chris Carter. On the topics of grading, so I have some cards at MNT. Examples, some PMGs out of 10. Would you guys buy cards and slabs at non-PSA BGS, or would a lower tier slab turn you off? Well, Chris, I would buy it, and I've done it. I've bought PMGs and KSA holders because I want the card. Again, I'm buying the card, not the holder. I will pay a premium for it if it's in a BGS or a PSA slab. If it's in an MNT or a KSA or a HGA or anything else, I probably won't pay a premium over raw, and that's why I would stick with the big guys as far as grading. But yeah, I would buy it 100%. I'd buy it because I want the card. And a PMG 10, this is going to sound crazy, but and I'm not assuming yours is at all, but I'll even buy them if they're trimmed, if they're known trimmed. I don't care. There's only 10 of them out there. If I need one of those for my collection, I'll take a trim copy. What do I care? It's still authentic, and the only one I might ever see. Hockey guy, I like the cards look like stained glass. Yeah, those are pretty cool. I do too. Griffey was baseball before the strike. Yeah, that's how until Jeter came around. Even I guess Jeter took a bit of time to get rolling, but once he, I said that I was going back and buying Griffey cards as my kind of representation of the 90s inserts, but I have picked up a couple Jeters as well.
You have a 93 foil? Do you have a Jeter rookie?
I do. Yeah.
You do. 9, 10?
No. Not. I don't have $1 million card in my collection like a Jeter 10. I remember when I bought my
Jeremy, you pull out, LeBron EX credentials and stuff. So who knows?
When I bought my Jordan PSA 9 rookie, my 86 Fleer PSA 9, I bought it in 2008 at the National for $1,000, $900 or $1,000. And I remember the guy across the booth where I bought the Jordan had a SP Jeter PSA 9 for $1,000. And I thought, I just bought the Jordan. Should I buy the Griffey? Or should I buy the Jeter? I'm like, nah, it's too much money. I'll wait for it to come down, sort of thing. And now I have an 8 in my collection. Yeah. So
solid. I'm looking for like a 6 maybe, and just to get in, because that's another one of those cards that I feel like, even though I never really wanted it, and I always kind of said I don't need that. Now that time has passed, I'm like, yeah, that Jeter SP, that wouldn't be a bad card to have in the collection, and a PSA slab 6 or something.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Brian Kingsley shouts out the Star Power Plus die cut. Yeah, you got the Star Power, you got the Star Power Plus and the Star Power Supreme, which were in basketball. I forget what product it was exactly. Tough to keep track. But I do have a Kobe Star Power Supreme, which is one of my favorite cards. Such a nice card. And it's a cool die cut as well. Imagine Griffey with the heightened media attention. Yeah, if he was still playing now, there'd still be going for sure. Quality control wasn't exactly in the Pro Set lexicon in 1990. Very true, Tanks. Very true. Jeremy, bust out Lita Ford. Yeah, no pun intended. Bust out Lita Ford. I don't even know if I kept her out. Oh, I'm looking through the cards. I don't think she was worth for my like collection of these cards. I don't think I not kept her. She's just in a stack that's not within arm's reach right now. But sorry, big unit, but I appreciate it. Kingsley says, I saw the Welcome Back Cotter cards. Yeah, I want some Welcome Back Cotter because I like John Travolta. Wouldn't mind a Travolta card from the 70s. That'd be pretty cool. Brent just bought Panini Snoop Dogg and Notorious B.I.G. Need the Tupac. Yeah, that's very cool. See, I think some of this music stuff, Joe, and everyone out there, I think that what hasn't been hit yet in terms of cardboard, right? We've gone through wrestling, we've gone through Pokemon, we've gone through wrestling, we've gone through tennis, we've gone through Marvel, right? All these genres that have cardboard representation are being hit. To me, music seems to be like something that is ripe for the picking. And full disclosure, I've been picking some up. And not this stuff, but some more vintage stuff. There is vintage out there. I'm going to say a word to you guys right now. You probably never heard this word before. I'm going to say a word to you right now. And I have a feeling you'll be hearing more of this word. The word is, I think it's a Swedish word. The word is, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, but you can eBay or Google it. The word is samlarsaker. Samlarsaker. I think you'll be hearing that word quite a bit more as time goes by here, because there's some cards by that name or brand or whatever it is that are pretty awesome. And, we collect sports cards for the most part because it's related to sports, and we love sports. We all love sports, right, Joe? I mean, who doesn't love sports? If you're watching right now, you love sports or you love sports cards. You probably love both. And to feel like we're in the game, we purchase cards. It gives us some ownership of the player. It makes us feel connected to the player, to our youth, to our favorite team, to that favorite player, whatever it is, the nostalgia. It's hard to describe sometimes, but we collect sports cards to connect us to sports. I think that's fair. If you love music And music is more pervasive in the world than sports is. Everybody in the world who's ever been alive has heard music. Okay, Carlos will be like, well, not everybody, Jeremy. I mean, he's probably right. Maybe not everybody of the 15 billion people that have lived. Maybe not everybody, but we all love music, right? We all love some sort of music. And to me, it's like, hey, what can we collect to make us close? You're not, unless you collect vinyl, concert t-shirts, ticket stubs are cool. I don't collect concert t-shirts. I have some. I don't collect ticket stubs. They're not interesting enough for me. They're cool, and they mark an event, which is kind of neat. Well, not kind of, very neat. I don't collect vinyl. I don't collect CD covers or CDs. So I collect cardboard. So to me, it kind of makes sense, right? To go look at some cardboard related to music. What are your thoughts, Joni? Am I out to lunch, or what do you think?
I think the recent attention that sports cards are getting will create entry points for all sorts of people. And I think, as you said, there is just a massively broad base of music lovers. And so if people get the bug that we've had all these years of collecting cardboard, and then they identify cards that, maybe weren't necessarily esteemed in the hobby, because let's face it, for the most of the 100 years or so that there's been cards, it's mostly been sports cards, but occasionally there have been issues, through the 50s, 60s, 70s, where musicians have been featured. And I think there is, people love their music, right? I mean, you talk about fans and fanaticism. You have people who, they hear that one song of a particular artist that meant something to them in a particular time in their life, and there's going to be massive amounts of resonance with that. And so, as we've been identifying GOATs in the sports world, and kind of remembering like the importance that a Walter Payton rookie card, or a Joe Namath rookie card, or whatever it might be, I think there could definitely be some transference or some corollaries in the music world. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. It just seems natural to me. And as I mentioned, I've gone back and I've picked up some musician cards, if you will, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to get anyone else interested in this. I just think they're really cool. And I almost don't understand how it isn't something that I was already aware of. Like, it actually took me to go seek it out and see what's out there. Like, what's out there? Elvis Presley, one of the biggest names in music of all time. Not necessarily my favorite artist of all time, but one of the biggest names. Everyone knows about Elvis. What kind of cardboard does he have? Kevin Jones mentions the 1964 Beatles cards. There's a set of Beatles cards from 1964. That's pretty early. And then you can look at Hollywood as well. Big actor, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Like, what kind of cardboard is out there for those guys, right? I mean, I know this is called Sports Cards Live After Hours, but it's still cardboard, and we still like all the we like music, we like sports. So anyway, something that we've I know Joe and I have talked about it a little bit, and as I mentioned, I've picked up some pieces along the way, and once they start to flow in, I'll show some of them. But yeah, it's interesting, and I think I don't know, for me, superheroes don't resonate with me that well. I enjoy the movies. I enjoy Marvel's movies. They're visual feasts of just awesomeness, right? The storylines are awesome. The visual is awesome. They're entertaining, but I leave it at the movie theater. I don't go home and get in. I leave it at the theater. But music, I listen to in my car. I listen to in my house. Yeah, I've been listening to my whole life. So kind of neat. Okay, let's keep going.
Just one thing I'd throw in, Jared, it's in that sweet spot of they're not so very ridiculously expensive that you won't just be happy that you got them, right? Like it's in that calibration of, am I investing, am I collecting? The few that I've picked up, I'm super stoked to have them, and I don't really care if they go up because they mean something to me. However, I do think they have a lot of potential too.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's an untapped market, and I think that people are going to eventually realize it. And I'm going to do my best as someone with an audience to not not hype it. Not hype it. We're talking about it right now because I'm a collector. That's all there's to it. I'm going to talk about some things I'm collecting, but I'm not hyping it. I'm not going to try and manipulate anything, but I'm going to talk about what I'm doing and share some of it. And if the low level influencer that I am causes it to anything to happen, so be it. I'm not going to take responsibility for it, or I'm not going to really feel accountable for it. I'm just going to say, hey, it's what I'm doing, and like it, hate it, whatever it is, that'll be on everybody else. But I do think there's potential there. So plus they're awesome. They're super cool. I'm really enjoying it. So anyway, okay, let's keep on going. Thanks guys for hearing us chat about that. Kevin Jones says, I have a 91 Rock Cards Jerry Garcia at PSA right now. So sure. We're not alone, Joe. There's other people that are Kevin Jones. I don't think out of the stack of Rock Cards that I opened, I don't think I pulled the Jerry Garcia, but very cool, man. Very cool. There were some other good comments here that I saw. Brandon George says, what the heck? Elvis Presley has cards. Yeah, I picked up some because it's Elvis. And I don't want to talk about it so much, but just because I don't want to seem like we're hyping, but the images are cool. They've got especially cards from the 50s and 60s. They were just done really nice. Really nice. I do not own an Elvis Presley relic piece. I'm more interested in the vintage pieces here, and they're But I'm also I really like these cards. They're because the checklist it's everybody. They didn't miss anybody really.
Huge, yeah.
It's pretty cool. I appreciate this, Chris. Talk about all you want. I already got my Iron Maiden and Judas Priest holograms. Yeah, those were out of these packs. Apparently, I think they were. Correct me if I'm wrong. AZ Brother says, I heard you and Brian talk about the set registry for PSA. Just started getting cards graded, and I'm not familiar with the registry. Well, the set registry, I'll just go very quickly because I think most people are aware of it, but I don't want to make any too strong assumptions. So if you're not, the PSA registry is basically a section of their website where you can go when you're logged in under your account, and you can basically register a set. So they'll have pre-selected sets. For example, the 1965 Topps baseball set. You can collect that on the registry, and as you add graded cards to your collection, you enter the serial number of the slab into their system, and it will register it as yours, and it will assign a weighting to it. And once you have the whole set, or even before you have the whole set, you'll see where your set ranks against everyone else who has kind of registered that they want to build that set. But you can do Hall of Fame baseball, you can do Mount Rushmore hockey, you can do the All-Star baseball team from 1992, you can do every Cy Young winner of all time. Like there's thousands of different sets that you can join or register within the set registry, and people compete fiercely to get to the top of those registry lists. The Hall of Fame lists are very competitive. So that's what it is. Hope that helped. Iron Maiden has a card. Yes, for sure. They have Iron Maiden has a logo hologram, and then there are base cards of them in the set. Behind the Tanks says that the registry is the reason why the 86 Fleer Johnny Moore, that's right, used to sell for more than the Jordan in PSA 10. Right, Johnny Moore, the lowest level common in the whole set, is one of the most valuable cards in the set, besides the main rookies for the most part, and the superstars at this point, I would have to think. Aaron Rasmus, good evening. Thank you for saying hello and good night. Chris says, some of the packs Jeremy has have Iron Maiden album art stickers too. Oh, wow. Very cool. AZ. There you go, AZ. Thank you. Glad it helped. Franco, I'm blaming you, Jeremy, if I have to pay 10K Sebastian Bach card tomorrow. Sebastian Bach from Skid Row. Holy, right? Skid Row. Right? Yeah. I think Sebastian Bach was the lead singer for Skid Row. Pretty certain. 18 in Life, right? Wasn't that their big tune? I remember that pretty well. Should we open it? Okay, we're talking about it. Should we open up a pack of this stuff? Let's open a pack.
The Pro set?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did Brian say anything about that particular issue? Did you? I watched, I think, most of the show, but I'm not sure you drilled down on that particular issue.
We didn't really, but what he did say was that with the Pro set trademark being his now, he was really just saying that, there's so many things we can do. Even he mentioned, I think, the Lion King and some of the Disney stuff that Pro set did. He's thinking about, do some buybacks, that sort of get some of the people who voice the characters to sign some cards and do buybacks that way.
I mean, entertainment. Yeah. I mean, we talked about music, but just in the realm of actors and, cultural figures, icons, that could be, I mean, if Brian's still listening, check that out. I'm sure he is. And
I think he at the end of the show when we signed off and we were just chatting, we were just saying goodnight to each other. He's like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you stay up so late every Saturday. He goes, I gotta hit the sack. I'm like, so I think he's hit the sack by now. Brandon George, what's that called? If you're talking about this set here, Brian, it's called Pro Set Superstars Music Cards. And I bought a box of these a couple weeks ago at Eastridge here in Calgary for $15. I think it's 36 packs. And I opened a bunch of them last week. I'm going to open a couple tonight, but that's what it is. I paid $15 for the box, and I definitely got my money's worth in terms of entertainment value. Definitely. So here, we'll open up a pack. Let's see if we get the Jerry Garcia or any other big legends. I got a legend. Oh, right off the top, The Doors.
Oh, wow.
Right. You got Jim Morrison right there. Like, that's pretty cool. And you can see right along here, right along the edge there. You see that white? Yeah. That's damage. That's not the card. That's an actual like scrape along the edge of the card. So yeah, these cards do not come out in that great of condition. Same with the Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it's got white showing on all four edges, but there's a Jimi Hendrix card. Like, who doesn't want a Jimi Hendrix card? Don't answer that, Carlos. Kings of the Sun, never heard of them. The Pretenders. I mean, Hot House Flowers. Like, I remember these guys. Hot House Flowers. Ted Nugent, classic rocker. George Michael. I mean, the guy, like, love him or hate him, one of the greatest artists of all time. Dred Zeppelin. The Clash. Ooh, The Clash.
There you go.
I love it. I used to love The Clash.
Is that black and white there?
Yeah, it is. The Clash, The Monk. Anyone else remember the Monks? They had the songs, two songs I remember well, Drugs in My Pocket and Nice Legs, Shame About Her Face. And Big Daddy Kane. We got Big Daddy Kane. And then here's this 10-cent off coupon that we were talking about in the last episode. On your next purchase of Superstars music t-shirts, as seen in the Pro Set Gazette. As seen in the Pro Set Gazette. Then you also got one of these Pro Set music cards, instant win game things. So serious stuff here. Back in the day, Pro Set was making moves for sure.
You start thinking about, I mean, that's the thing about music. You can find someone who is, got a particular niche in a band or this, that, and the other. But when you really think like macro, what are some of the names or bands that you think really have like the capital in terms of like fandom to be like really, really long lasting in our memories?
Well, I mean, I got some quickly come to mind: the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Doors, U2. I mean, the biggest acts of all time. When I first looked at when music cards first entered my mind, Joe, I went to Google and I Googled best musicians all time, something like that. And I got a list and I just kind of looked and it kind of was just tweaking my memory. Oh yeah, of course. But the Beatles and the Stones, how do you go wrong owning a piece of their history? I just don't know that you can. They're never music doesn't retire. Music can't tear an ACL. I'm getting sick of that comment, but music can't tear an ACL. Musicians, unless they go Charlie Manson on you, they're going to be, the music lives on longer than the sport sometimes.
Well, we're talking about international appeal with NBA and China or Europe or soccer with Europe. But music truly is international. I wasn't even a Madonna fan really growing up, but I mean, she transcends even just her music to becoming like an icon. That's why I was just so like, oh wow, Madonna for real.
Yeah, let me grab. You say Madonna, so I did get this one in. It's a Madonna card, so this is oversized because the Madonna card is a bit bigger. But I'm going to show you guys this one, which I think is just I love it. I mean, and Madonna to me is an all-time legend. So it's big because the card is a bit bigger. So they put it in one of these big holders. But there she is, like total material girl. And this is a 1986 Panini Madonna Smash Hits collection. So it's got Panini on it from 86.
She's performing.
And it's a like in action shot, right? It's an action shot. But I'll show you guys the back. The back's kind of neat.
It's a Panini?
It's a Panini. It says right at the bottom, figurine Panini. So some sticker set they probably put out in Italy in 1986.
I feel like I've heard that name before, Panini.
Yeah, sounds familiar, right? When you get that kind of equity on a card, I just want to look under my loop and see if I can see. Just read what printed in Italy by Edizioni Panini, SPA Modena. So, and it's got the knights at the bottom there. So this thing was produced and distributed in Europe. I don't think it ever was distributed in North America, but it's made its way over. And this is a PSA 3.5. And honestly, I look at it, I don't see anything wrong with it. So there must be something I'm not seeing. Don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Which is great, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what the grade is. I don't remember the pop on it, Joe, but it's not high.
Is that a standard case or a bigger case?
It's a bigger case. Let me find here. So I'll just put a regular slab up against it. So there you go. So but you can see the card itself isn't much bigger than a regular card, but it's too big for the standard PSA holder. So they put it in this thing. I wish it would have fit in here, but this, I don't know, this doesn't offend me. It's still pretty cool. I really have it on display. I love it. Like, call me crazy, guys, but
well, and here's the thing I was thinking about. We were having this conversation a while back about, let's just say old baseball stars, and not like the Lou Gehrig's and Babe Ruths, but maybe, Eddie Collins or Rogers Hornsby, really important players, but over time, they may not stand the test of time as well as, say, Babe Ruth or somebody, but music can always be listened to, right? You can, 1,000 years from now, if we're all still, we won't be around, but somebody will be around. If there's someone to listen to, Bob Dylan or the Beatles, that's going to just carry over for time immemorial.
And think about young people these days. You get into your parents' car, they put on the radio or the satellite, whatever. You're gonna hear songs from artists from all decades. So it's not like you go to a sports event and all you're seeing are the players of today. You're not seeing the players of yesteryear because they're dead or retired, right? So you can go on YouTube and find clips, but music, whether you like it or not, you're gonna hear it. It's gonna.
There's commercials will pick up a song, or maybe bands will do a cover, or you just inadvertently are exposed to in your parents' car, like what are those old people listening to? Oh my God, it's the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, and some of these songs are catchy, right? Kids, and think about even further. And I mean, I'm just in my mind thinking like Beethoven, not like there's any Beethoven cards because we're talking whenever he lived. I don't know if it was the 1700s, 1800s, but that music lives on today. And he's the goat of music, let's say, the goat of classical music, right? Still lives on. People would still pay for his autograph or the piano he played or whatever it is. So, I mean, I said, let's stop talking about it, but we'll keep coming back to it, I'm sure, as we scroll through comments and work our way through our evening here. I've put some comments on the screen just people are talking about it as well. So that's kind of cool. Carlos says, it's gratifying that I don't even need to expend the energy to be fully contrarian. Yes, Carlos, I got you covered, buddy. I got you covered. It's just nice to know you're listening. Nice to know you're there, my man. Guys, check out his channel on YouTube if you haven't yet, Because I'm Carlos. He does regular episodes, but my favorites are the Sunday night live streams. Joe is often on with him. I'm often on with him. Bobby Burrell is often on with him, among others.
And Carlos, when we get a chance, we need to talk about Ken Golden's recent drops on Instagram. There's more emerging every day to discuss and dissect, and I'm sure you're thinking about that as well.
I'm looking forward to listening to a deep dive on that tomorrow night. But I did tell my wife I was going to watch Coming to America 2 with her tomorrow night. So I don't know. I might not come on till later on tomorrow night to watch Carlos.
Jared, did you have Ken Golden on your show once?
Yes, I did.
Are you planning to have him again?
April 10th.
Awesome. All right. I thought that. Okay, that's exciting because the way things are moving in the hobby. And did you hear his Instagram drop the other day where he was talking about eBay reaching out to him and kind of sorting through that? I thought that was pretty fascinating.
I did. I did. I listened to that yesterday, I believe. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I look forward to having him on again. He came on with me, I think it was August. It was the Thursday before his Saturday auction close where the Mike Trout sold for $3.8 million. I had him on just a few days before that. So that was a really cool episode. And he's told me in talking to him about him coming on April 10th, he said to me he was going to come on last Saturday at first, but he couldn't because he was with Logan Paul opening Pokemon in LA. But he said to me, he goes, it's better I come on April 10th because I'm going to have a lot of new news by then for you. So that's going to be really cool. Chris says that the 10-cent coupon tells you what print that set is. There's a site with an in-depth checklist about that set. Yeah, it's a cool set. I'm not surprised it has a following. Yeah, it should, right? Digital Underground is Tupac's RC. That's awesome. I didn't know Tupac was in Digital Underground. That's neat. Very neat. Corey Carr, good evening again. I know, how far are we behind? We're 8 minutes behind on the comments. Yeah, Brian Kingsley, Pink Floyd, right? That's right up there, right? For me.
Totally.
Jimi Hendrix, right up. Bruce Springsteen, David Bowie, The Police, Billy Joel. I love Billy Joel. Glass House is one of my favorite albums of all time. Yeah. Who we got here? Rounding the Corners with Darren Hogum. Good evening. He says, I seem to recall Michael Jackson Thriller cards. Yes. I have some of those. I have them right on my table here somewhere because I opened up one pack of it. I have two here we go. They're right there. These are Michael Jackson cards, and they are, I believe, I don't know if they're not called Thriller, but they were I think they came out because of Thriller. And I opened one pack last week. I bought them at Eastridge for like $3 a pack because they're cool wax packs. And I was lucky enough, I think, because every single card is Michael Jackson. So I kept two of the cards. I kept them. I have the other ones, but I put two in top loaders. One of them is this one here, simply because it's the number one card in the set. And I thought, well, in a set that's filled with only Michael Jackson cards, the number one card must be kind of the rookie card or the best card in the set. I don't know. And then the other one I kept was this one here, simply because I like cards with gum still stuck to them. I keep that. To me, that's awesome. That's hobby history right there.
Well, you made me think of the 77 Star Wars where the number one is Luke Skywalker. And he's got a lot of, face time in that whole set, but the number one is sort of the one that seems to be drawing most of the attention with the higher PSA grades, ranging up into the four figures now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Speaking of Star Wars, I was watching some Han Solo from that set auctions this past week, and there were two cards, and I'm just going to go quickly look at them so I get this right, because they're still saved in my on my eBay watch list. But one was a PSA 9, I think it was, and the other a PSA 6. And I kept them because I found the price differential between those two grades was pretty big. And of course, we know a 9 to a 6 is big in really any product, but a PSA 6.5. Here, you know what I can do is I can share the screen here quickly, and just so I can show people. And for anyone who is going to be listening to this in the on the podcast, and you're not seeing this right now, I apologize. But let's just let me just bring up this card here, and I'll find. Here we go. So just to show you guys what I'm talking about, just going to make them bigger, bring them up here, because it's like, what's wrong with a 6.5 in this card? It looks super nice. Of course, we all want the best grade we can afford and all that, but okay, here we go. There we go. So this is the 6.5 sold for $74. Looks pretty nice to me. Like, nothing wrong with that. Looks, awesome. Yeah, it looks really nice for 6.5. This card sold for $74. And there's the 9, $1,375. So another $1,300. And the card,
pretty much, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Doesn't look much better to me, but again, it's hard to tell from a scan. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
And where we are right now with both the PSA uptick in prices as well as just the glut of their turnaround time, I think finding those bargains where there's such a huge discrepancy between a 6.5 and a 9, to me that's huge value. That's huge value.
Huge value. You can get in on the 6.5 and have the representation of the card and not have to blow a mortgage payment or whatever it may be, right? A month's rent. Like I like here behind the tank, Grateful Dead and Kiss. Yes, obviously. Kiss might be one of the biggest ones from a collectability standpoint that there is, right?
Totally. And there is a phenomenon, and I don't even like really talking about it because it sounds in some ways, no one wants to capitalize on anybody's, ill fortune. But when superstars, be they, sports superstars or otherwise, pass, people suddenly have a feeling of wanting to connect with them, right? As soon as that moment happens, it's like all these emotions come up. It happened for me with Tom Petty. I showed you the Tom Petty card. When Tom Petty passed, it was suddenly like, wait, really? And I had a new appreciation. I'd seen him a couple times in concert, and but didn't really like think about it, or David Bowie, for instance. And I think those moments, as we've seen with recent passings of Hank Aaron, or obviously Kobe, it moves the humanity in us and culture across the board, worldwide. And so anyway, I mean, it's not even about a commercial investment. It's really about feeling a little closer to those figures that have meant so much to us.
Right. And how, what the other nice thing about the card, the cardboard card, is that you have an image of them as well. I mean, I guess, well, you have an image. It depends what era it's from. You've got the technology of the time embedded there as well. But, of course, we can go look at images on our computers all day long. But to have an artifact from when they were in the prime of their career or early in their career,
right.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I've also picked up a couple of Marilyn Monroe cards from the 50s. I mean, Marilyn Monroe, they're beautiful cards, and they look like sports cards, but they're not. They're Marilyn Monroe cards. I don't even know what set they're from. They might be they're either from, they're Dutch or Swedish. That's where most of these things are coming from that I find myself really liking to look at.
And that's a fascinating part of it, right? Is that Europe, and many of these icons were American, and there was this kind of focus on what's going on in America, of the stars and the Hollywood and just everything, kind of being in the center, which I don't, America, whatever, but that gaze from the continent, so to speak, I think, and then they're producing cards to kind of account for that fascination with these other stars. Is kind of an interesting sidelight, because I don't think there were as many being produced in the USA. So
I think you're right. When I went hunting originally for these music and some Hollywood cards as well, very little from North America produced. Like there's a couple of top sets. There's the Look and Sees from 52 of historical figures. There's another one. I can't remember what it's called right now, but I think it's from 60 or 62 or something like that, where full-size cards, and you can there's all sorts of famous actors and actresses in there. So yeah, it's all sorts of neat stuff. I like this Brandon George. Madonna has cards. Get my wife jealous. There you go. Corey says I saw a cool. Go.
Oh, I was just going to say, bring everybody into the hobby.
Right.
Something for everyone.
Yeah, or the other thing there, Brandon, is you tell your wife, hey, I bought myself some sports cards. I didn't leave you out. Here's a Madonna card. Get something for her. Tide her over. Corey says, I saw a cool Jennifer Love Hewitt. Goodwin Champions ought to go for 300. Yeah, and Jennifer Love Hewitt, she is not hard on the eyes. Hockey guy, I think you're talking about the Madonna card. Thank you. Billy, welcome, says, I used to own a ton of New Kids on the Block cards from the early 90s. No idea why I ripped them as a kid. I think they were in a box next to Ninja Turtles. Yeah, Ninja Turtles look cool. You can get old A-Team cards if you want a Mr. T rookie, kind of thing. Go buy A-Team. We forget that Madonna is an all-time. I don't forget that, Brian, but I hear you. People, yeah, she's an all-time. She's an all-timer. Madonna is she's Babe Ruth-ish. She's as big as it gets. She changed the game.
Yeah, pop music. You might have, Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince. I don't know.
Yeah, Madonna she's an absolute goat. I believe a all-time goat. Foul Fireball says all my old Panini stickers were made in Italy. Okay, so I guess you're talking about the what, I don't know sport you're talking about, but if I think about the hockey stickers that I collected in the 80s, I think those were not, I don't know what they were, to be honest. I think they were O-Pee-Chee, but good to know. Good to know. Thank you. Brandon George, that's something. Okay, we're 15 minutes behind, so it's hard to remember exactly what these are all in reference to, guys. I apologize. Behind the Tank says Beethoven should have appeared in the 1952 Topps Look and See, but he was absent. He finally made it on a 2009 Allen and Ginter. Ooh. Yeah, so does that mean if you collect music cards and you want to get the gamut of, from all-time greats, do you buy that Ginter card? Because to me, it doesn't feel right. Just like these cards, some of them feel right, some of them don't. Artists of the 80s and 90s or 80s really feel right on this cardboard for me. But when I can buy a Rolling Stones card or a Beatles card from the 50s or 60s, that kind of usurps the interest in me having one from this set here. But yeah, and I agree. Beethoven should have been in the 52 Look and See set for sure. That would have been, I would probably chase that card at this point in time. Yeah. Chris just looked at those Panini stickers. Some big names in that set. Elton John, Rush. Yep. Those are MJ off the wall cards. Could be the Star Wars C-3PO. The error card is, that's a cool card. There, he's got some kind of metal rod sticking out from his groin. So they fixed that when they realized what it looked like. Corey Carr says, Jeremy, you saw that run of Gretzky PSA rated cards today. You pick any up? They went pretty cheap. I only was watching 2 of them, Corey, so I missed the other ones. But I noticed you said in the last show that there were a whole bunch of them. Maybe he listed too many. I don't know why. I probably went through all of his sales, but the other ones just didn't interest me except for the 2 that I watched. So I didn't see them. Rock Latex, welcome. The Kobe, oh my God. Kobe Bryant, 96, refractor, black label, $1.8 million. That is a big number. Not surprised. I'm a little surprised. 1.1, 1.2, but 1.8. Wow.
We're in hyperspace. I mean, it's just at every turn, every day, it's hard to keep up. And I mean, how are you doing with tracking the data? I mean,
I don't track it, man. But you know what? I mean, I can't. I'll leave that up to the guys that do that now, right? The card ladders, the market movers, that kind of thing. But it was 2 years ago when Nat Turner bought the PMG Green Jordan for $350, and then the Brady Contender sold for $400. That was like, what? That was the first time I remember where we saw that kind of numbers for non-vintage goats. If you weren't Honus Wagner or Mickey Mantle, we didn't see $1 million cards ever. Now we're seeing $1 million cards every single day for modern day cards. Never mind vintage. A Reggie Jackson PSA 10 rookie just sold for $1 million. Like, I sold my PSA 8 back in November. Darn it. But hey, can't win them all. You got something to show us? Oh,
it's a Reggie. I can't say it's a P. It's actually altered, unfortunately, but it's a pretty crisp copy of a BGS altered card. I think it's probably sliced or something. I bought it in the case. It's like, okay, that's a chance to get something that looks a little bit like a 9 Reggie.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I mean, it's who cares? If I'm willing to own cards that are altered or trimmed, if they're in that altered case, because I never want to have to worry about someone getting my card. Like, I get hit by the proverbial bus and my wife goes to sell it and it comes back trimmed. And now only way I'll own an altered card is if it's denoted as altered. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They're nice.
Yeah. As long as we all know.
Yep. Cardboard Max lets us know Topps made several Beatles sets. Chris is looking at 78 Kiss cards. AZ Brothers, not a fan of Black Label. Me neither. I'm with you, AZ. I mean, to me, I said it a few weeks ago, the BGS grading scale is not a 10-point scale. It's actually a 40-point scale. The way I look at it is that you add up the 4 subgrades, the best you can get is 40. That's a Black Label. A 39.5 is a 10, and it's the only 10 you can get is 39.5. Everything else below is a 9.5. So to get that half a point grade, 39.5 to 40 is going to cost you like $1 million on that card. I got to think, a regular BGS 10 in that was it a Kobe or this card here, a regular non-Black Label BGS 10. What is that worth right now? I don't know, but I don't think it's worth $800,000. So you're paying, let's say I'm right on that. You're paying $1 million for a half a point on a 40-point scale. I mean, yes, it's rare. The card isn't rare. The Black Label is very rare. And that's what you're paying for, I think, because what's the difference? So I'm with you, Rock. I'm with you. Who said that here? That was AZ, bro. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's not that I'm not a fan. I just would never pay I don't see the value. Billy, Leaf does a great job with non-sport. They seem to be very reactive to pulp culture and quick to capitalize on trends. Yeah, they do. They did back in the day. They had the Yup guy from Storage Wars at their booth at the National. And I remember I went and stood in line, got an autographed 8x10 from that guy. Forget his name now, but that was a moment in time cultural sort of thing. And yeah, Brian was on it. Brian's he's astute when it comes to that kind of thing for sure. Terry, they weren't rookies. Terry, they were inserts. They were 90s cards for the most part, I believe. AZ says, yeah, how is it better than a PSA 10? Well, the one thing about that comment I'll mention, AZ, is that you can't just ask it generally. You have to take a specific BGS 10 Black Label, put it beside a specific PSA 10 of the same card, and compare those two specific examples, because there's an infinite amount of conditions of cards. There's not just 10 different grades or 20 with a half points, whatever it is. There's millions and millions of different conditions a card can be in. So you really got to compare them to each other is what I think. Because let's face it, sorry, Joe, hold the thought. But there are definitely cards in PSA 10 holders that, if crossed, would be BGS 10 Black Labels. There has to be. Go ahead, Joe, please.
Well, you're evoking something you asked earlier. What has been on my mind? And I think one thing that's been on my mind is valuing cards off of the recent sale. And when these cards are hitting, 6 and 7 figures now, and then we jump to, so that's now what it's worth. I think we need to pause there. I think we need to pump the brakes just a little bit and think to ourselves, okay, even if we acknowledge that like it was a sincere sale, there was no, collusion or anything untoward going on, it still amounts to one person deciding that they want that card for that value. And where it goes from there, who knows? And this is not in any way to, I appreciate the work of Card Ladder and market movers to track the data, but it seems more and more that people are just sort of defaulting to the card value is what the recent sale was. And I just think it's a lot more complicated than that.
Really good point, man. And one thing I'll say to that is I actually believe, in the absence of a subsequent sale, because we're going to have subsequent sales for most cards that will establish the new perceived value or the new comp. I think that you can't argue with it being a comp, but are comps today's value? I like looking at it like this. The underbidder is the person that caused the high bidder to pay as much as they did, or the underbidders. There could be a couple that, that bid it up. it's that second bid. It's the second highest bid that to me is what is now what that person's willing to pay, because the person who bought their copy they now have it, presumably. And again, presumably, they don't want another copy. So now the second guy who was the underbidder that didn't win that big copy, they're now saying, well, I'm not willing to pay 1.8 for it, but I'm willing to pay 1.7. So is the card worth 1.7 or 1.8? Or I think the right answer, we don't know. It's worth neither. It's worth really an unknown amount until the card sells again, and then we have another comp. But are comps actual values? I mean, you said it well. You said it's the card that person decided to buy and what they decided to bid on that day. And that day is a unique day that will never happen again.
Two things. I think one, there are also card transactions going on where there's not a second bidder, but there's just a unique transaction going on between a buyer and a seller. And so that's an interesting phenomenon, because you don't have that second bidder to sort of justify what the next bid up was. And then secondly, when I go after a card hard, like on eBay, I'm always not only looking at the second below, but the third and the fourth. I want to see the whole, sort of stratosphere of interest to feel it's comforting when there may be 3 or 4 other people that were trying to get there but weren't quite there, versus like a huge disparity. So anyway, great point.
No, yeah, and I do the same thing, Joe, especially if it's a card I own, not when I'm selling, but I have a copy tucked away, and I want to know, is the value, is the card really, and I'm going to do it, worth that much? I'll go look at the bid history, and let's say it's a card that sold for $25,000. I want to see, and the last copy sold for 12. Just an example. I want to see how many people bid more than $18,000 or $19,000. Was there 2 people? If so, could be shenanigans. But is it 5 people? Are there 5 unique bidders where you can see feedback ratings that all bid over $18,000 or $19,000? In that case, I'm going to consider that card to be worth somewhere between $18,000 and $25,000, because there's enough support for that. Support, a term used a lot in the stock world. The more bidders you have that are bidding over a certain threshold or a certain point on a card provides support for the value, for the comp. And so I would actually rely on that to give you some indication of value, but it's hard, comps, like you said, very astutely, they're not the new value. They're just the newest comp. I think I'd like to hear Carlos's take on it, because I have a feeling this might be a rare occasion where he somewhat agrees with me. Maybe. Let's look at some more comments here. Tank says, if I remember when I thought people were crazy paying 18 grand. Yeah, this is mind blowing. Kingsley says, yeah, $1 million cards every day. Crazy. Yeah, AZ, the markup, talking about the difference in the grades. But you had another comment here I saw. Never thought of it that way. Very in-depth breakdown, Joe. Luka Doncic, logo man for 4. Yeah, that was a private sale at 4 points. David Hester. Dave Hester, that's his name. The yup guy. That's the yup guy. Thank you, guys. You and Tanks, appreciate that. Brandon George. I like this question. If you graded the card yourself and got back a black label, would you sell the black label and get a PSA 10? Yes, 100% of the time I would. Every single day. Sell that card to the, no offense, sucker that's willing to pay a $1 million premium, let's say, on a half a point on a 40-point scale for a PSA 10. All day long, I do that. All day long. BGS, I don't have a single BGS 10 black label in my collection. I think I have 1 gold BGS 10 in my whole collection. And I have no intentions, 0 desire to own a black label. 0. How about you, Joe?
Not really. I mean, they look cool, but I agree with you. It's sort of the card itself, and what's the level of, how much better is it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm 100%. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Toa Hang says, I heard a good method is to take the last 5 sales, take the highest and lowest out, and take an average of the 3 and use that as a base. Yeah, that's a fine way to assess the value of a card. Is that exact strategy going to work every time? Maybe not, because let's think about it for a second. Take those 5 data points. Are they all over the place? Then sure. But are they trajectorying upwards or downwards. If they're going upwards, I'd probably ignore the bottom two and take the last three. If it's going downwards, I'd probably ignore the first two and take the last three versus omitting the first and the last. I think you got to take into account trajectory, and then from that, decide which data points you're going to omit from the last five or however many. But great point, Toa Hang. Thank you for that.
And just to complicate that even further, it's time, right? I mean, a lot of these cards that are selling at super high values have either not come up for sale ever, or maybe 5 or 10 years ago, and everything's changed. So that's where it becomes challenged. If we actually had 5 comparison points to certain cards, then we may be in a better place to estimate the trajectory, if you will.
100%. And the way I think about that, Joe, is commodity cards, trajectory doesn't really matter, because 5 data points might be one day, right? A couple days. But a card that almost never sells, you don't have 5 data points.
And that's where we get into the one day, one collector thing. And, if the second collector, so maybe 2 collectors on one day. And I think that's kind of fascinating, because, there's something, I think that's when I look at, some of the higher level collectors who have the resources, and, they're not being willy-nilly. They're really trying to dial in on, comparative values, but you're always going to be flying a little bit in the dark when it comes to things that are so rarely seen, and that there's probably a rush to that people that have that money and the interest in obtaining the card get in trying to bring it on home. It's like catch the big whale, the fish, whatever.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Great color you're providing tonight, Joe. I love it. AZ, I currently have a PSA 10 Pop 1 on eBay, overpriced for the exact reason as who knows, maybe someone will pay it. Yeah. And right now, in all of the cardboard history, now's the best time to take that shot at someone overpaying, because there's a lot of people new that are with a lot of money that are just buying what they like, and good for them. Hopefully they don't overpay to the point where they realize it. And then they say, oh, darn, I'm out. Forget this. This doesn't work for me. But hopefully some people do overpay for a couple cards simply because it's a lesson, and you need to learn. You remember lessons when you learn a lesson that's tough. You're going to remember it, and hopefully you will then adjust your behaviors moving forward, or your research activity prior to. Got sports cards. Welcome. Good to see you. We are only 5 minutes behind in the comments now, Joe. Billy, but you can actually confirm the last 5 sales actually were completed. eBay, yeah, I mean, sure, Billy, but we're just going to assume that you're confident in the comps that you're looking at. Carlos, I do love my comp talk for sure. Why doesn't BGS just grade cards 2 to 40? Because a 10-point scale is when they got into the business, that's what the hobby was doing, and 40 just isn't a natural number. But when you look at it that way, you can actually see what are you getting for that half a point. You're getting, what is that, 2.5%, a 2.5% improvement from a 39.5 to a 40. Like, it's negligible, nominal at best. Always sell the premium and buy the value. Words to live by, AZ. Words to live by. Tank says, exactly, couldn't sell that black label fast enough for a PSA 10 at a way lower price. Yep, me too. Is it even possible to get a BGS 0.5, or is 1 the lowest? So you need some zeros in there, right? You need some, or you either need all 0.5s or some zeros, I think, but I don't know. I don't know if they have a point. I don't think they have a 0.5.
Never seen it.
Johnny Cash, welcome to the show, says, what do you think about the 03 LeBron Topps Pristine refractors? I think it's a nice looking card. I think I'm picturing it in my head right now, and I think it's a really nice card. He goes on to say, seems like a set no one wants to talk about. I think the hobby's focus right now is on a couple of the more well-known copies, the Topps Chrome, the Topps Chrome, of course, the not National Treasures, Exquisite. Of course, I mean, it's a bigger card, but it gets all the headlines. So, yeah. Oh, here's a cool Fallow Fireball. Does Joe surf? Kelly Slater had a card in SI for kids. Yes, he did. Joe, I know the answer. I'll let you answer.
No, I mean, I do surf, and I actually met Kelly over at Steamer Lane maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Took a picture with him, got an autograph on a hat, and Kelly is the man. But yeah, I surf a little bit, working on my back. I need to do a little more yoga.
I know you surf because we chat quite a bit, Joe and I, and he'll be like, yeah, I just got back from surfing. I'm like, man, what a life you live going surfing. That's like, meanwhile, I'm shoveling snow out front. So I just cracked another pack of these rock stars, and right off the bat, I mean, The Who, Pinball Wizard, classic all-time song. Like, of course I'm gonna, if this could gem, even get a PSA 9, I would submit it for grading because to me it's worthy. It's worthy of my collection. And that's what I mean. When I say it's worthy, I mean of my personal. I personally deem it worthy.
Yeah. Is it? And one wonders like how many Who cards are in that set. Is there any way to get a hold of a checklist for that whole?
I'm sure you could. I'm sure it's out there on Google. So the set has like your base set, and then I guess towards the end or the beginning, there's these cards that have the gold trim, and they say Legends. The little bubble on the bottom there says Legends. So they don't all say Legends, but the Who are definitely Legends. So they probably do have another card in the set somewhere, I would think. Let's see what else we got. Al B. Sure. I don't really remember him that well. I think I sort of Eddie Money with the flow. Look at that flow, Joe. I'm only slightly envious of that flow. Here we go. Another Madonna card.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Kind of smoke in the background with the suit, looking very professional.
That's a stage shot, right? You got to think. With holding up the monocle against her eye there. Pretty neat. We got she's got the London Choir Boys. Never heard of them.
Nice. Here's
another somewhat of a legend, Janet Jackson. I mean, they got to look how young she looks there too. Like, oh, this is awesome. OGs, Joe, the OGs.
Damn.
Run DMC.
Yeah.
Got some Bonnie Raitt right here.
Yeah. Wow.
A man who's been talked about tonight already. Robbie Van Winkle. Vanilla Ice. Oh, boy. Not worthy of my collection. Michael Bolton. Sorry. I had a couple decent songs, but wouldn't make it into my... not a card I would be putting in a binder sheet or anything like that, but there's another pack of that. I don't know. I get a kick out of them. For $15 for the box, I get a kick out of them.
Totally. Well, I mean, where can you even find wax to rip these days? There's no stores around here, and Target's cleaned out. I mean, there's only I did order some retail optic. I mean, eBay, whatever, secondary, and open some packs and get a little frustrated. But yeah, for $15, you can't lose.
I hate opening wax and feeling frustrated, so I pretty much don't open wax. But when I go into my LCS here to buy supplies and talk to Mike for a little bit, and I can buy a box of this stuff for, again, $15 Canadian, which is like $11.50 US. I mean, it's a couple cups of coffee. I'm going to buy it and have fun, and it's been fun, and it's providing some content for the show. So why not? Dry Dolphin jumps in and says, "Dude, sweet, love that you're cracking randoms." It's exactly what I'm doing, Dry Dolphin. I'm cracking randoms because it's $15 for the box. Like, why not, right? I love it. I see he's here. He says, we need modern cards of bands with relics and autos. I'm with you. I think there's a huge opportunity there. Huge. So I'm with you, Dry Dolphin, and welcome to the show. I don't think I've seen your name before, so glad to have you. I'm going to ask you to subscribe, guys. If you're watching, I appreciate you all. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Give me some thumbs up on the video on YouTube. Much appreciate it. Kingsley says, it's cool to see Jeremy, it's cool to see the hockey god. You get the hockey god. What do you mean? You get jazzed about low-end cards that you dig. Very cool. I do, man. I admit it, I do. Thank you. Dry Dolph, crack some ET, right? I was cracking the Michael Jackson pack. I'm going to go back to Eastridge and buy some of it. He had some 18 packs. I'm going to go buy some 18 packs. I think he's like $1.50 a pack. Sure, I'll take 10 of those for $15 and see if I can get a cool Mr. T card.
Well, didn't he get cleaned out after your last show? Somebody like kind of went on his site or something.
Bought these things, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Glenn Scribner bought them, because now he messaged me on Facebook the other day saying, hey, I bought those boxes. I opened one box. I need 6 cards for my set. You want to help me out? I'm like, well, sure. I'll see, let me know what they are. I'll see if I have them, but whether I'm going to sell them or just send them, I wouldn't even sell them. Whether I'm going to just send them to him, I got to figure out what I'm going to do, but probably, why not?
So I got a question, Jer. This is kind of stepping back from the music stuff for a second and looking at the vintage modern dichotomy. It sounds like, not that I've done the research, but from what I'm hearing, that there is, the pendulum is swinging. We were all into modern, but then there was this vintage swing, but now maybe vintage is slowing down just a little bit. What are you thinking about in the next 6 months to a year? What do you think we're going to move back into the modern and kind of what's hot today, or do you think the vintage, or it's going to just kind of balance out? What are you seeing?
I think as far as vintage goes, so modern took off in the latter part of last year, and then vintage caught up, kind of repositioned itself where it should be relative to modern. So good. If it's slowing down now, some cards are, I'm sure. I think that the growth rate is slowing down. Maybe some cards are now going to some normal hobby fluctuations. Comps are kind of bouncing around here and there. Makes sense to me. So when we say slowing down, it's a good thing. That the growth rate could not sustain. You can't have, 100% growth rates every 2 to 4 weeks. It's just unsustainable. So to me, it's good that it's slowed down. It's a healthier level of movement among the values of the cards. So vintage versus modern. Vintage now caught up to where it should be. And now you're saying slow down. Are we going back to modern? I think modern, we're based on Golden's auctions tonight. Yeah, it's not slowing down at all. It doesn't seem. I shouldn't say that. The growth is still happening. Maybe not to the extent, we're not seeing 100% gains across the board. We can't take a black label Kobe and really make too many inferences from it. It's such a one-off kind of sale, right? It's a trophy card probably bought by one of the fractionals. Let's face it, right? That thing's going to be offered on fractional eventually here. So to me but if you look more generally at the lower, the affordable level cards, I think that the hobby is finding its way right now. And over the next year, we're going to see things kind of level out. A Babe Ruth, a Mickey Mantle, a Roberto Clemente, a Jackie Robinson, Gordie Howe, Bill Russell. They need to sell. They need to sell for, the comparable grade, whatever that may be, needs to sell for as much as a LeBron, a Kobe, a Zion, a Luka, a KD, right? Otherwise, the world is out of whack. So the hobby noticed, vintage caught up. Modern, I don't think people are going to say, okay, vintage is done, let's go back to modern. I think that it got to where it had to go to. That's kind of what I think. And now the balance of 2021, as we move into the future, these things will continue to kind of juxtapose their way to some sort of equilibrium.
Great analysis.
Thank you. I hope that made some sense. I kind of made it up as I was going along, but kind of that's where my head's at.
Makes sense.
Okay, what else we got here from the crowd? Let's see. Darcy, my man, says, can one of you guys please show me a high-end basketball and hockey card, please? Go ahead, Joe. You got something to show?
Well, when I don't know if this is going to qualify, but when you were talking to Brian earlier and he was talking about the relationship between Panini and Lebron and the materials card, I went into my modern basketball card collection and I found this. This is a LeBron National Treasures. I think it's 2000 and maybe 14 or 15, and it's got a. I think it's numbered out of 10. It's this. This up here is a patch of the O'Brien Trophy that was part of probably his Actually, I think this might be 2009. So anyway, it's an early LeBron patch with a piece of the O'Brien trophy on it. So I don't know what that's worth, but it's a pretty cool card.
Pretty cool card. I got one to show here. I mean, I don't know how high end it is, but I bought this on eBay and I'll buy it now because I thought it was just low. I thought the price was really good. It's a 2007-8 hockey ultimate debut thread. So this is a rookie year patch, no auto, of probably the best American-born player of all time at this point, Patrick Kane, out of 50. So rookie year patch out of 50. Photo shoot jersey, or photo shoot patch, so not game worn, but still a pretty nice 3-color patch. That's right from the head of that brown is like the face of the Blackhawk logo, and out of 50, I think I got it for like $80. I thought, wow, that's really cheap for Patrick Kane rookie debut patch. So I bought it. It's not a PC card. This is going to be a card that I will end up selling eventually, but I just thought the price was right.
What's the issue on that? What
Upper Deck Ultimate Collection 2007-8.
Ultimate, yeah. Yeah, you know, I've been doing a lot of exquisite searches, just you know, kind of looking at what sort of mid-level exquisite stuff I can find, because I really don't have much. It always felt out of reach, but now with the ceiling going up so high, with obviously the LeBron and some of the cards that are just, you know, trailblazing, and that name, and Ultimate is also a brand I associate from that time as like, oh wow, you know, you bought a pack of Ultimate, oh my god, it's like $100 or something.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. The pack that this Patrick Kane card came out of was at least $100, maybe 150. So to get the best rookie of the year now. I mean, he used to not be the best, but today he is. Between him, Jonathan Taves, and Carey Price, he's the best rookie in that year now. And you would have hit that in a pack back then. You would have thought you got your money's worth. So I thought it was a cool buy. So there you go, Darce. I hope that filled your desire to see something nice. Billy makes this comment. An LCS has a few boxes of Beanie Baby cards that have been sitting there for 20 years. Wow. Yeah. $20 a box. I mean, that's something that's probably worth buying. Believe it or not, as an investment, it's probably worth buying, because who knows when the Beanie Baby craze will come back, right? Nostalgia wise. I mean,
I like that you speak of it as like a done deal. Like, it will come back. It's just a matter of when, maybe. Well, that was a craze. That was a big time
craze. I think there will be a nostalgic sort of rebound to it, or sort of boomerang effect, if you will, could eventually come and happen. Well, I guess time will tell. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Brandon George, good night to you. Don't want to cause you to not have a good day tomorrow, but thanks for joining us here. Dry Dolphin, let's everyone give some likes so we can see the algorithm. I love how he spells the algorithm. Make the views grow. Thank you very much, Dry Dolphin. Billy asked me, do you own any fractional shares of any cards? I don't, Billy, but I would if I could buy them. But, in Canada, we can't. Unless you have a social security number, you are not eligible to buy on Collectible or Rally. Or I think Dibs, which is kind of sucks. So I would definitely be playing in that game right now. Kingsley, yeah, Kane is super hot right now. Brandon George, I'm selling 1-to-1 Bert Olmsted stick auto card on the Centennials group once it's approved. Cool. AZ, Beanie Babies will come back, as it also has some McDonald's ties as well. Correct, it does. They did a set there. My man, Dave Kaplan in Vancouver, British Columbia. Good evening to you, Dave. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. Tank says, I remember when 10% of the Toronto Expo was dedicated to Beanie Babies. I'm glad I don't remember that well. But I believe it. I believe it for sure. All right, guys, listen, we are at we're at the hour 44 minute mark on After Hours. That's pretty late. We usually keep it to, well, I'm not going to make any claims to what I keep time to. It always goes past, but the intention is to go more about like an hour, but I got to say, it's going to be time to end this pretty soon. So let's do a final call for kind of last comments and questions from the chat, guys. Anything you want us to chat about, or anything, put it out there in the next couple minutes here, please. Joe,
sure.
Anything? Yeah.
Well, I'm just curious, what's the territory ahead for you in terms of guests? Who you got coming on the next few weeks?
Well, thank you for asking. I'll throw up the banner right now or the ticker. So upcoming, we got next Saturday, Paul Lesko, he's been on before. He follows all the legal proceedings in the hobby. He's a lawyer, and he follows, like, I'm telling you, it's like he's always on the ball. If there's something new, a new advancement or a new whatever in any legal proceeding, he tweets about it and talks about it and follows it. So he came on way back in like May, and I reached out to him, I think in like October, November, said, hey, are you ready to come back? And he said, not yet. There's really nothing going on. Well, he reached out to me a few weeks ago. He was like, all right, I got to come back. And he sent me a list of 13 items, 13 bullet points on things to talk about. So he's coming up next week. So he's got a lot to talk about. The week after, March 20th, Tyler Nethercott, who is a VP at Sports Card Investor and Market Movers and is starting his own YouTube channel under the Sports Card Investor banner, I believe, to focus on market movers. He's coming on. So that should be pretty cool. You know, I'm a big fan of Card Ladder, which is another data tool. I don't know much about market movers. I've never paid for the service. I've never been in it, but I'm interested to hear what Tyler has to say. And then March 27th, we got Billy Celio from Upper Deck, product manager, coming back again to tell us what's coming up from Upper Deck in terms of the various products that he works on. And then after that, April 3rd is currently unscheduled, but April 10th, it's like we're scheduled through the rest of April. So I can let you know here, a little bit of a preview for everybody if you're interested. We've got April 10th is Ken Golden. April 17th is Eric Doty, who's the CEO of Loop the app, something I'm not completely familiar with, but I will familiarize myself. And then April 24th is the founder of Otis, the fractional ownership Otis. His name is Michael Karnjanaprakorn. He's coming on with me we're booked basically through April 24th. So pretty good. I can rest and not worry about scheduling for a bit. So there you go.
I'm really excited for you to host Ken Golden again. That'll be, I mean, by the time, I mean, even if you had him, tomorrow, it would be an amazing show. But the way things have been developing, you saw him on the airplane with the Wagner, like,
yes.
I mean, that's like major motion picture. it's like, I'm going to PSA with the Wagner. I mean, like, that guy's, living larger than life.
Well, speaking of being on airplanes, I know most people, if you're not following Sasha T on YouTube yet, he puts out great content. He put out a video yesterday or today, short video, 7 minutes long, I think, where he got on a plane to fly to Portland to go, I think, to PWCC to buy a card. Kevin Durant, PSA 10, Chrome Refractor.
Beautiful card. It was unfortunate they wouldn't let him film, but I understand why. But he did a great job of kind of, bringing you into the experience. And, that's always something I've thought about myself. It's like, if I ever got a card that was, I don't know, what was that, like $47K or something?
He said what he paid for it on the show. Is that what he said? 47?
It was something like that. And are you going to airmail that? Or are you just going to head on up to Oregon? I mean, that's like, what is it? Portland or something? Yeah,
they're in Oregon. So he probably flew to Portland. So yeah, for a flight from, he's in LA. I don't know what that flight costs right now, but it's probably under $500.
And you were mentioning with Brian earlier, the shows coming up. It's another Dallas show. Is that right?
Next weekend.
And all those guys, Sasha and Coleman and the whole crew, they put so much, content out around that allows you to vicariously experience. I'm not going to Dallas, but I'm looking forward to their reports and their experiences and kind of living vicariously through, their trades and their thinking around the hobby in this moment.
I'm with you, Joe. I look, and the nice thing about Sasha is that he turns around his content super quick. Like, he's taken that footage, and I saw the one video he did where he talked about how they do it. He sends it to his buddy Nikhil, and Nikhil edits it and then sends it back, and Sasha upload or whatever it is, puts it on YouTube. They turn that around like in 24 hours. So I'm super excited for, like, not this Monday, but next Monday or Tuesday. No pressure on them to get it out quicker than they can, but to see all the action from the show, because it's super interesting. Yeah, Sasha puts out really, really great content, really fun to watch. So can't wait for that. Birds on the Bat. He saw that video. Right on, right on. AZ says, thanks, guys. Glad I made it live. Yeah, really great to have you, AZ. Thank you for your comments. It was just great to interact with you. MSC gives us a thumbs up. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we're gonna end it for the night. Thanks everybody for joining. We still got over 60 people viewing, so thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next Saturday. Paul Lesko on the main show will be joining me. You'll want to check it out for sure. He's the guy. He's not just a legal analyst in the hobby. He's very involved in collecting. He was big into Project 2020. I'm sure he's big into Project 70. So we will talk about that a little bit as well, which is good because I haven't talked about Project 70 at all, because I'm personally not interested in it, but I'm interested in it for other people. I want to hear what he has to say. Let's see what Billy says. Would love to see one of these auction houses do a live in-person auction for something super high-end. That'd be neat. Ziggy is the true GOAT. We're talking about Ziggy Palfy. That's not Ziggy Marley. Ziggy Palfy. Thank you, Chris. Joe, final comments? Anyone else? And then we're going to kill it for the night.
Not really. Thank you for inviting me in, and always a pleasure to commune with your fans. Are extremely knowledgeable, and it's a good community. So appreciate it.
Well, no, I appreciate that, Joe. Thanks for accepting and coming on. You're here we are complimenting each other. Kind of funny, but no, it's just a real comfortable environment to have you on, and good, easy conversation. So thank you. Thanks everybody else. And till next time, guys, have a great week ahead. Check out Because I'm Carlos tomorrow night for his live stream. I will be listening, if not calling in and joining at some point if he opens it up. So thanks everybody. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow. If not, we'll see you here again next Saturday. Have a great week ahead.